Happy Wednesday, and a special shout out to my daughter Emma, who is celebrating her first birthday today. I'm Matt Robinson.
And I'm Woody Walden, and this is your
Humpday Update, where we're committed to showing you how to run a smart real estate business, which of course means
stress-free,
money and credit-free,
asset-free,
risk-free,
and tax-free investing strategies that work right now in this market.
That's right. Well, Woody, it looks like that a huge fight is about to break out between the housing industry, do you mind, and Congress over many of the housing-related tax breaks.
Let's get ready to rumble!
That's right, Matt. And in this corner, we have the powerful lobbyists for the National Association of Realtors and the National Association of Home Builders, trying to protect their industries from further damage. Their position is that during this time of economic uncertainty, it will be adding insult to injury to pile on the housing market by removing important tax breaks that spur on the purchase of residential property.
And in the other corner, we have the federal government who, depending on what side of the political fence you may fall on, is either trying to raise money to pay off our ballooning national debt, or they're filling their coffers with more money that they can waste on wealth redistribution and entitlement programs. But either way, they want more money, and they're coming after your business.
Yeah, and in fact, legislation is going to be introduced later this month in an attempt to implement the recommendations of President Obama's Deficit Commission. Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss, one of the authors of the said legislation, told political website The Daily Caller that he wanted the legislation to start out free of all tax deductions and loopholes.
That includes all of the real estate industry's sacred cows, the mortgage interest deduction, and the capital gains exclusions on the sale of a primary residence. Now this will set up an Armageddon-type battle to come to a final agreement on which breaks will be put back in and which ones will be left out for good.
And real estate's big time already gathering weapons and artillery for this steel cage death match of the century. The National Association of Home Builders recently announced a high priority lobbying campaign sicking its attack dogs on anyone and everyone on Capitol Hill. The NAHB even created its own special website to gather public support called SaveMyMortgageDeduction.com.
Now the thing I find most interesting is that everyone from the little town in Idaho to the powers that be in Washington are all calling for a balanced budget and a reduction in the national debt. That is until it starts impacting their perks, bennies, and pet projects. That's the problem with any spending cuts in Washington. Everyone knows they need to happen, but no one wants it to affect them.
Yeah, and on the real estate side, Robert Dietz, who oversees the tax policy for the NAHB, said that the mortgage interest reduction is a huge benefit for about 35 million taxpayers a year. And the biggest beneficiaries are the middle-class families and the younger home buyers.
And on the flip side, though, only 50% of Americans even pay taxes to the government, with the other half able to eliminate their tax burden with existing deductions and credits. For those who do pay taxes, a very small percentage of them actually itemize their tax deductions because most filers don't exceed the standard deduction provided by the government. So is it really that big of a deal? Is it being a little hypocritical to say you want a balanced budget, but then fight like cats and dogs when those proposals start to affect your perks and bennies?
So that's just some food for thought. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do we all need to sacrifice a little to get our financial house in order? Or are you willing to fight to the death to keep every real estate tax break available? Because it affects your personal business and income. Let your voice be heard by commenting below.
Well, for all of you tree-hugging, Al Gore-loving, inconvenient truth-watching left-wing liberals out there, we thought we'd start a new feature called Going Green. No, seriously, regardless of your political persuasion, I think it's a great idea to reduce our dependence on foreign oil and keep our beautiful environment as clean as possible.
Absolutely.
Which is why I love this news story out of England.
Well, a Reuters news story reports that a local authority in England has given the go-ahead for a swimming pool to use the energy created by a crematorium next door to heat its water. The plan, surprisingly, the first of its kind in Britain, will see waste heat from the incinerator chimney used to warm up the neighboring leisure center and its new pool.
Boy, there's nothing like training for a triathlon or just, knocking out a few refreshing laps in the morning, knowing that you're staying nice and warm thanks to Granny and Grampy's crispy remains.
That's right. Obituaries are no longer just the Facebook for the elderly. giving old people a publication to keep up with their friends. The younger generation will now start keeping tabs on those who have recently kicked the bucket to make sure that the pool stays heated at the local health club. At least now there will be a positive side to every local tragedy, homicide, or vehicular manslaughter. Warm pool. Hey, when your life gives you lemons, burn them
And heat your pool! Well, that's all for this week, but make sure you forward this video to all of your friends.
Post it on your Facebook.
And subscribe by clicking that green box right down there. And of course, from all of us here at the Humpday Update, we hope that you have a productive and prosperous rest of your week. And remember,
Finish strong.